Some of the biggest names in the sport of Jiu Jitsu have come from some of the worst living conditions in the world. Now that begs the question, what is going on in these rural parts of the world that is producing Jiu Jitsu world champions?
Well, in this video, we're gonna find out.
Now, a few months ago, I got reached out to on Instagram, and these random guys invited me to check out their social projects all across Peru. Now, at first, I was a little hesitant because I didn't know them, and I'd be going off to a random foreign country, and I'll admit, I was a little afraid. But I knew I couldn't let fear get in the way of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and before I knew it, I was on a plane down to Peru with the goal to understand what it's like growing up in a jiu-jitsu social project and what is making these kids so good. Calder, how you doing?
Good, man. Yeah, I think Peru is a really wild experience. I think that there's kind of a duality going on. There's brutal living conditions for some of the kids. It's genuinely pretty unbelievable until you see it for yourself. We're talking, not just houses with no running water, but like even in some of the kitchens, we'll see like that there's like dirt floors. Growing up in that environment, there's, areas that like it's hard to imagine anyone even living there.
So, going down there, what are your guys' kind of expectations for me? What are you guys looking for?
Yeah, I would say just to be able to connect with the kids is a really big deal. They don't speak English, so, you teaching classes and just kind of be able to kind of have them feel like there's a relationship there is really important. And then probably just not sucking at jiu-jitsu. I don't know, man.
Okay, I think I can manage that.
Welcome to Mancora. After a long, 2 days of traveling, we're finally in Mancora. This place is gorgeous, dude. Oh my God, I'm so stoked.
Now, Mancora is a tiny little beach town right off the coast of Peru. For lack of a better term, this place is paradise. You have ceviche, surfing, spearfishing, although that didn't really go too well.
All right, I'm not gonna fishing.
Now, my goal for the trip is to experience Peruvian culture and, of course, accomplish those 3 things that Calder had laid out for me.
Mateo, Mia, wee!
Now, Mateo and Mia grew up here in Mancora, and they'd be showing us around the town, and for the first activity, they were taking me wildly out of my comfort zone.
Mateo is gonna take me spearfishing. I'm really, really excited. I've been spearfishing once with my uncle, and I remember he caught something, he handed it to me just to carry, and we're swimming around a little bit more. And he's like, yo, Carson, look at that shark. And I was like, that's sick.
Now here's what I learned from this experience. Mateo, he's badass. Put him anywhere in the world and this guy can catch a fish, no problem. As for me... Anyway, I finally managed to get off that paddleboard and I enjoyed this beautiful sunset with this random dog I found on the beach and prepared for tomorrow. Now the following day, we made our way to the Guardian Academy. And I want to introduce another special person. This is the head instructor here at Guardian Peru, Sal.
I had some mats, a little space, so I was just starting to do jiu-jitsu with the kids on the streets, bringing kids into the gym.
As he unlocked the doors, we walked down this dark alleyway and then up 4 flights of rickety stairs until we got to one of the tallest points in the city of Mancora. And this is Guardian Peru.
Looking for kids to train, and I started this small social project. And over the years, it started growing and growing and growing, and then Guardian was looking for a place to expand. Guardian gave us all the support and the tools that we needed to start expanding our program here. It was like a miracle for the town and for the community up here in the North Shore in Mancora,
Now my first goal is to build a relationship with these students. And in Jiu-Jitsu, the best way to build a relationship is to try to beat them up. So my first round was with one of the older kids named Oliver. Now one of the first things I noticed stepping into this academy and meeting these kids for the first time is just the sheer heart and drive that they have when sparring. Now don't get me wrong, right? We're training seriously, but we're also just here to have a good time. I think that's one of the really cool things about this program is they're not trying to make, Jiu-Jitsu world champions, but they're just trying to get kids in the door, get them in the sport. And that's the most important thing in these types of communities. With that being said, let me introduce you to the founder of Guardian, Ben Kovacs. Now the thing about Ben is he's just kind of a dork, and he's always keeping things lighthearted and fun, and on that note, we thought it'd be cool to host a little super fight event in front of the kids and add some EXP to my 3rd goal here in Peru. To give you guys a tale of the tape, I took 3rd out of 85 competitors in Nogi Euros, and in 2024, I was the #1 ranked lightweight grappler in Washington. With that being said, I think Ben's record is just as impressive.
I don't really like to talk about record as much as just talk about the fact that I remain undefeated in, IBJJF, ADCC, undefeated on the professional circuit, if you want to call it that. Can this up and coming, competitive, now purple belt, beat an old, washed up? I mean, I guess I'm not even washed up because I was never washed to begin with, but how's this gonna go,
To kick things off, I start by leading with his foot sweep, getting into a single leg, and I put Ben down. Now Ben, being over 40, has the rare ability of dad strength, but he's also cursed with dad cardio. So my goal was to push the pace on him and try to tire him out. That was working out well until he started entangling me, and with a combination of lanky arms and legs and dad's strength, he managed to topple me over, which is something he was very excited about. However, as we progressed into the later stages of the round, I realized my strategy was working.
Man, come on, man. Don't some Jiu Jitsu, brother.
I'm trying.
Final breath.
I'm trying.
You have sat down.
As a final act of love, we're going for one last takedown to end the round. Now, while I hope I earned some respect in this round with Ben,
He's cheating.
the real test was waiting for me later in the week as they take me to a gym filled with Olympic athletes and one of the most elite grapplers in the Guardian circuit. As for now, they had a different surprise waiting for me.
Put everything into perspective. I met these guys 2 weeks ago. Where am I?
I wanted to bring Carson somewhere nice and let him stay with us, so maybe he'll take it a little easier next time on me on the mats.
Okay, so this is by far the nicest place I've ever stayed in my life, the nicest scenery you've ever seen in my life. So let me give you guys this tour because it is insane.
I think this is the cool thing about Peru and doing this. One of the big things in my mind is that charity can be fun. You can come down, you can have a great time, you can stay in these beautiful places, you can go surfing, you can eat great food, but you can also still go train and give back to the kids and really make their day just by showing up. Or this is sort of the big next step here is we've been helping for a while, but now we're bringing this element of fun, bringing different people in here and really kind of taking it to the next level. And if we can combine that, vacation, fun thing for people, families, jiu-jitsu players with the charity, I think that's going to be really awesome.
How's it going?
How's it going?
Oh yeah, some pelotas para los niños. Jump in. It's Christmas time. So basically, the story is we were just getting footage of the situation, and literally this huge group of kids doesn't have a single ball. And instead of I could easily go to the store and buy them one ball, but or I could spend $100 or whatever it was. Yeah. We could just fucking deck them out. So this is gonna be sick.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
Now, this is one of the coolest memories of my life. I grew up playing soccer, and to come to this foreign country and share that passion with these kids is super cool. And I actually made a really cool friendship with one of the kids. This is New York. Not really sure what his real name is, but my hope is to one day come back and hopefully bring him into the Guardian program as well. The following day, it was time to teach my first class. And on top of that, none of the kids would know English, so it presented a different type of challenge.
So it's about 6:30 right now. We're getting the day started, jumping in the pool. I gotta get some breakfast. Join the kids at 10 o'clock. It's gonna be a good day. These kids, dude, they do not want to tap. I put a few in an arm bar. They just don't want to tap, and I'm like, I'm not gonna break your arm, but it's kind of scary. They have a lot of heart. They really just, they want to prove themselves, and something I can respect. And obviously, they're still kids, so.
Now, I was asked to teach them a little bit of wrestling, so one of my best moves is the duck under. The problem is, I got a D in high school Spanish class, so I needed a little bit of help.
How do you say cabeza? Cabeza, sí. Colo.
The kids have my back in the language department. But for me, success would be if the kids can actually apply the moves in sparring at the end of the session. This was also a good time to joke around, get to know them a little bit better, and really build that relationship. Now these two kids' names are Joao and Sandro, and I really connected well with these two. They really just reminded me of myself when I was younger along with my cousin, and it really just goes to show how universal grappling can be. We might not verbally speak the same language, but in some ways we do. Now by the end of the class, even some of the youngest students there were able to hit the duck under in sparring, which was super fulfilling to me. Now, after teaching kids class, I had the opportunity to get around in with Mateo. Now, he's also a great example of what's to come for these younger kids as they progress through the program and grow up. I will say inherently, Mateo is literally built like an avatar with all the size, strength, and speed that comes with it as well. Using that, he's gonna go ahead, spin under, and use a berimbolo to start exposing my back and really put me in a bad spot. Now, had this been some normal round in a local Jiu Jitsu gym, I probably would have gotten tapped here. But with Ben watching in the corner, I knew I had to turn it on, freak out, get out of that position, and look to start giving Mateo a taste of his own medicine.
My strategy was simple. I knew Mateo was most dangerous when I was at distance, so I needed to use my speed to get past his legs and try to stay on the inside of his limbs.
I managed to finally get around to his legs, expose his back, then something unexpected happened. Now, this is the moment that my camera battery died, so we're going to safely assume that I hit a flying armbar right there and became the new king of Mancora. Coming up in the last few days of our trip, we're going to make our way down to Punta Hermosa and take on the final gym of our time here in Peru. So if you guys have ever seen that show, The Outer Banks, where they're like, you either have 2 cars or 2 jobs, that's pretty much Punta Hermosa as well. Except here, the wealth discrepancy is much, much higher. Like on one side, you have this beautiful, almost private beach where the land wraps around a part of the ocean. And then on the other side, well, you'll see. So this is Herbert, the head of Guardian Punta Hermosa. And he's gonna take us to one of the most dangerous places in Punta Hermosa. And even with that being said, many of the kids that train at the gym live in this area.
Is it okay to leave this in the bag?
Yeah, 15 of these kids live here in this town.
Like how important is that?
Man, it's so crazy. I just like the living conditions out here. I just like these kids really don't have like anything. Like seeing a stove in the house looks like a luxury. But it just puts stuff into perspective. You know, I feel like a lot of people, they complain about America. I feel like getting out here and really seeing and experiencing how good we really have it. It's like, it's eye-opening, and it kind of like warps your perspective. You know, I'm gonna go home and be like, thank God for toilet paper and hot water and water in general. It's just definitely a humbling moment.
After exploring Punta Hermosa, it was time to head to the gym for my final test. My first task was to teach class not just to kids this time, but adults as well. This actually went super well, and by the end of the class, it looked like almost everyone in the room had gotten the hang of the technique.
Next up, it was time for my final rounds here in Peru, with the first one being against an Olympic surfer.
Now, I knew Miguel would be a lot more athletic than I was, and in order to beat him, I knew I was going to have to be super technical, and so I took some inspiration from the kids in Mancora. Now, like I said, Miguel's athletic ability is much higher than mine, so as I go to cut off to the side to pass his guard, he uses that opportunity to quickly stand up and gets to top position. Now, bottom, I see him make the same mistake again. He leaves his elbow disconnected from his ribs, and I take the opportunity to hit another duck under and get back on top. Now, while he's 10 times the athlete I will ever be, that doesn't mean I'm slow either. And after running around him and hitting one last duck under through his legs, I make my way to his back and start hunting for that rear naked choke. But then it was time to take on one of Guardian's best brown belts, Herbert. Early into the round, he dives through on a leg lock, and he manages to find an early submission with an outside heel hook. Coming out of that, I knew even on bottom, I'd still be in danger. But the one thing about these Peruvian guys is their guards are incredible. So it wasn't long before Herbert wrapped me up again. However, after my round with Mateo, I knew that I needed to stay calm, unravel his feet off of me, and I know I need to use my speed to get inside of his feet. And from there, I might actually have a chance. We disconnect slightly, and I know that this is the opportunity I've been looking for. I press forward as hard as I can, as I know I won't find another opening like this again. Making it past his guard is one thing, but being able to keep him down is a totally different game. And being one of the most elite black belts in the guardian circuit, there's only one way I'd be able to find a submission, and that's in the most dominant position in Jiu Jitsu, on his back. By the end of the night, not only did I accomplish all 3 of those goals,
Thank you, Guardian, for allowing me to beat up kids all over the world.
but I was accepted into the Guardian community. Also, if you guys want to help me bring Jiu Jitsu to kids around the world, click the link in my description.
We're done for the week.
Hey, he cheated.